Hey guys, and welcome to another craft sesh. Today is the day. Today is the day that we are binding our naked spell books.
I mean, we're not technically binding because we did binding last
Sorry.
week.
Technically, I think you're fine.
We're covering our spell books. We're stopping them being naked.
We're covering our naked spell books. So if you have missed out, we've had 2 tutorials up on this channel already. One for making antique pages, and then 2 is then binding those pages into what Becky has in front of her now. Today, we're going to be covering the bound pages. So you have, at the end of this, should hopefully have a badass spell book or journal or D&D book or notebook or diary or whatever the hell you want to use it for. For the purposes of today, Becky's making a spell book. But obviously you can, you can, what's the word? Transmute, transmogrify, use these skills. There you go. Use these skills to make a book-related product. So yeah, check out the links in the video description below if you missed out on the other tutorials. It's there for you. Take it away, Becky.
Hello. Okay, so last week was very technical because last week was binding, where we did this pretty thing and made a pretty binding.
With a French link stitch.
Oh, spot on. So yes, we did French link stitch, but we also looked at kettle stitch. So there was another way of binding if you wanted to bind your books that way. Today is going to be like half technical, where we talk about books, the mechanics of books and how the covers need to work in order for the books to fit into them. And then like half making things look pretty. So it's a two half stream.
Cool.
So first let's talk about books.
Let's
talk about books because we love books. So I have a copy of Wilkie Collins' The Woman in White here, just because it has some useful binding to demonstrate. I'm going to try and stop waving my hands like this all the time so that the edit is easier for Kim.
I love that you just say, I'm gonna try and stop waving my hands like this all the time. Waving hands.
Okay, so an important thing to know, if you watch the spine on this book, as it opens, you will see that the spine kind of goes outwards because the edge of the pages fold in, so the spine gets shorter as the book is opened. So in order for this to happen, even though the spine is solid, you need to have this little ridge here. This little ridge, can you see that little ridge? That little ridge between the boards and the spine is crucial in order for a book to be able to open. And this is going to become very important over the next hour. So, if you look at the great thing about Coptic binding is that books open flat, which is lovely for drawing and for writing and things. It's really it's why I make all my sketchbooks. I Coptic bind all my sketchbooks because just being able to have flat pages is wonderful. What that means though is that the end pages, the way that works, the end pages fold completely together. So the spine is condensing even more with a Coptic book. Now this is why with a lot of Coptic books, they'll leave the binding open. And why with my Coptic sketchbooks, I do the covers entirely out of fabric so that they can completely bend without causing any problems. Now, if we go to what we had planned for a spell book, I wanted to make a hard covered edge. Spine, just because, that real kind of old-fashioned spell book look has a kind of solid spine going on. I think you'll agree. Does everyone agree? Or no? No one cares. But yeah, I think that kind of real old-fashioned spellbook look feels very solid to the outside, and it has that definite curve.
Yeah.
So, in order to make that work, the distance here that is soft fabric, so this ridge here, is going to need to be half the height of your book in order to allow the pages to fold in correctly. That make any sense?
No. but I'm very dyslexic and dumb as hell.
Because so if we look at it from the top,
Yeah.
here's how your spellbook's going to be attached. The pages, when you open it, are going to fold right in underneath the spine.
Right.
So the fabric gap between the boards and the spine needs to be enough distance to allow that movement to happen and not tear anything.
Right. I get what you mean, but I think I think I'm a visual learner, so I need to see.
I just wanted to kind of explain it before I do it so people aren't like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So I mean, the way around this is to cover your whole book in fabric, not have a spine, and just get on with life that way.
Because if I show, so my notebook, so this was kindly made for me by Marlfish, so she bound it, I guess, is that I don't actually know.
That's it's a Coptic binding.
That's
definitely.
a Coptic bind.
I just couldn't tell you what Coptic bind is from here.
But as you can tell, she didn't cover the spine. So when you open it like that, it just there's no spine like we're going to be making with Becky today. There you go.
So this is my sketchbook that I showed off the other week, which this is Coptic bound and this is leather covered, and you'll see the spine bobbles out like that so that it gets out the way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So because we're making a solid spine, we just need to make sure that we have enough fabric leeway for it to bobble out the way.
Otherwise it's going to break.
Otherwise
now
it's going
I'm
to
with
break.
you. Now I'm with you. Okay. Got it.
Visual aid.
Yeah,
This is what we need. So the first thing is that you made your, well, I told you to make your backboards last week, whether any of you did.
Wow, all right, teacher.
No, I didn't mean to be like that. I was just like, so you have your backboard. I was about to say, so you have your backboards, and I was like, maybe not everyone has their backboards. So your backboard, you want to connect your backboard to your, well, you can just cover it with fabric and not connect it. I'm going to connect these two just to give the spine a bit of strength and to give that ridge that we've been talking about, that ridge, a bit of structure, just to help the structure of the spine and to help that fold like stay and manage. So I'm using leather, but you could use any fabric or soft paper or tape, slots like that. I bought a big bag of offcuts of leather a while ago, and so I'm using them up. And it was actually a bag of black offcut leather, and this is actually a very dark blue.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't actually go with the black leather. I wanted black leather. That was the whole point.
Right. Just really quickly, going back, because I just want to explain, below me is the materials list from last week. So when it says for next time, that's actually this time.
That's where we are now.
Right now, that's where we are now. Can you quickly tell me about the backboards?
Backboards,
just a quick refresh on that.
Backboards are solid pieces of cardboard. They are just forming the cover and the back of your book. They're referred to as backboards, even though they do the front and the back. They're just solid pieces. So they're card. They should be slightly bigger than your paper. Just like if you look at a book, like you want the cover to be slightly bigger than the pages. Otherwise, the pages get ruined. The boards protect the pages, essentially.
Cool.
So they need to be slightly bigger. I have, I'll come on to that later. That's not yet. I'll come on to that. So I'm just going to cut my leather down. I'm going to leave quite a good length of leather for the moment. So just like probably the same size as my spine on either side, just to give myself a lot of leeway, because as often happens on this stream, I'm winging it a bit. I've never done a Coptic binding with a hard spine before, but I know how it works in theory, so let's go for it. We can make this happen.
Yeah, happy little accidents. We learn and grow.
Exactly.
Along the way.
It's the lessons we learned along the way and all that jazz. People cut your leather with a knife. My knife I can't find my spare blades at the moment. My knife's really blunt. So I'm going to blunt my scissors, cutting leather with my scissors. But these scissors are quite old anyway and need replacing. So.
We're talking in chat with Space Bear about so Space Bear has furry fabric that would be hilarious to turn into a spell book, and I'm sort of imagining, you know, like the Cookie Monster, if the Cookie Monster was turned into a book, but apparently it's meant to be Red Panda, so it could be a Red Panda book.
Oh, that could be exciting, interesting. I don't know. Yeah, do I want to put this on the outside or the inside? I think I want to put this on the inside.
What difference would that make?
Well, as you'll notice, because all my leather is offcuts, it is random sizes, and I couldn't actually find a piece that was the length of my tube, so I've had to go slightly smaller than my tube. So if I put it on the outside, though, that when I put my book cover fabric over it, you'll see that drop. If I put it on the inside, it's basically invisible. It's inside the book, and it will get covered completely.
Okay.
So I think we're going to go inside because that seems sensible. We're probably going to go with our... You all know my real hatred of contact cement by now.
Glue.
Cement.
It's called like contact cement. Some contact glue. Some
adhesive.
There is a... Thank you. Oh god.
I was gonna say, like, contact cement.
Is that not a thing? Have I completely just made up something?
I think you've just pulled that out of your bum. I know this, Becky, because, like, obviously as the person who has edited all of these VODs, and the one where we used contact adhesive for the TARDIS, like, you just said adhesive so much time. Apparently contact cement is a thing. It is a thing. But in the context of these VODs, these streams, these craft streams, I've never heard you call it cement. I've heard you call it glue, adhesive, and then curse it 1,000 times.
I do. I hate this stuff. I really, like, I don't know why people... I'm sure I'll learn one day that I've been using it wrong and like, oh, you use it this way, and I'll be like, oh, now it's great.
So for those of you who have maybe not seen the TARDIS tutorial, what are some things in mind that you should keep in mind about using contact adhesive / cement / whatever that stuff is?
It sticks to everything. I hate it. It does need to be used in a well-ventilated area. I have all the windows open in my flat today because there's been a lot of spray painting and gluing and other things in prep for this stream. It will destroy brushes, as you can. This is my glue brush. It is hideous.
Yeah.
The idea is that you spread it on your surface. It's also gone very stringy. You spread it on your surface. You leave it until it gets tacky. It's a couple of it's meant to be about 10 minutes. With this one, I find it's about 5. And then you stick it to things. It's used a lot by cosplayers. It provides a really strong bond, and it works great on all materials, so it's really good for connecting foam.
And is that why you hate it, even though, like, you use it even though you hate it, because it is just good?
It is really good. It will stick anything together pretty solidly. And the only other things that stick fabric really well is fish glue or copy decks. Which I talked about last week.
Yeah.
Which is probably worse than contact.
I can imagine if things made out of fish bladders, yeah.
And I don't have any right now, so whereas I do have contact adhesive, so we're using contact adhesive. Like, if you weren't using leather, if you were using a lighter fabric, like you could use super glue, you could use normal glue if you waited a while and made sure that it was like stuck down. We're also using contact cement for the purposes of speed because it does dry solid pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So it's it's great for stream. If you were using something like paper, you could use double-sided sticky tape.
Okay.
That's a good one. So yeah. See, this has already kind of solidified. It's not even like tacky anymore. I hate this. this is what I'm going to try and demonstrate this a bit more. So basically, I'm going to glue this to the outside of my backboards. And the idea is that when the pages open, it will need to squish into there in order to not break. That makes sense?
Hold it up a bit. Yeah, there we go.
Get it onto camera. Yeah, so when it opens, if it wants to open flat, it will need to squish in that to the center of the spine. In order to do that, there needs to be enough fabric that it can squish to the center of the spine. So the fabric excess between the spine and the bookboard needs to be half the length of the spine. Half the width of the spine, sorry.
Ah! Whoop, there it is.
So my spine is about... Okay, so the width of my spine is about 4 centimeters. So I'll probably go like 2.5 just to give it, or a little bit over 2 just to give it a bit of leeway. Always better to have more than less. And then I'm going to give I need to give extra space to glue it onto the board. Now I'm going to glue it onto the outside of the board because I have a plan. So if people saw my book design on Twitter,
I retweeted it earlier in case you missed it.
You'll know that I'm going to edge all of my round my book, and to match with that, I can have a ridge on the spine side, and it will just all blend beautifully. I promise, it will all blend beautifully. So we're going for like we probably want. I'm going to go for 4 centimeters each side to give me my leeway. What would be really nice would be if I had a ruler that was 4 centimeters wide, but I don't. So we're just going to edge that out to 4 centimeters. So I am gluing the spine fabric to my backboard. So I have measured out that 2 centimeter gap, and that leaves 2 centimeters to glue. So I'm just putting glue on that 2 centimeters, and then I'm going to attach that to my backboard. And then we should have a full board book.
Okay. Anything we need to consider when you're doing it?
Just make sure you've got that space, and that if you're not planning to have ridges on your book as a feature, then glue it on the inside, not the outside.
Okay.
So I'm gluing it to the outside because I've got a plan.
And so you measured these gaps specifically?
Yes, I did. So this gap here is half of the spine width, so that the boards can fold into the spine and not break the spine when the book opens flat.
Okay.
I made a mistake.
Yeah.
I needed to put the glue on that side.
You hold it on the camera. Which side did you need to put it on?
I needed to put the glue on that side.
Brilliant. So how are we going to fix this?
We're going to let that dry and put the glue on the other side.
Brilliant.
I'm just gluing on the other side. So this was this is where I messed up. So there you can see the glue where I messed up. We're going to cover that so it's fine.
Yeah. Can you just hold it up, because I can't quite tell which side of the way the tube is bending, if you see what I mean.
So that's the outer curve. So
okay.
The convex side is outward.
Okay.
So the concave side is the inside of your book. The convex side is the outside of your book.
Okay. Brilliant. Right. Carry on.
Okay.
So you're just gluing the other side now?
I'm just gluing the other board.
Okay.
I'm just checking on time. Yeah, so I'm going to try and demonstrate what I meant about the kind of the fabric. So here you'll see if the book opens flat, the fabric allows the backboards to fold in without impacting the spine. Isn't that beautiful? So yeah, that's all we've done so far. My
So that's
God,
that's the visual demonstration of what we were trying to talk about earlier, where I was going a bit cross-eyed.
Yeah, and yeah, you'll see when that opens, like that bit of fabric will just kind of fall down and, you know, naturally sit wherever it wants to sit, and you'll have a book. It will be lovely. So now that you've got your, you know, your kind of full bookboard and spine connection, you want to, I'm covering mine with fabric, but we've talked about like covering it with paper, or painting it, but I'm going to cover mine with fabric. Now, I said last week this was going to be with glue. I was going to use glue to stick the fabric over the outside. But something happened in between last week and this. I found my Bondaweb.
What? Sorry, what?
If there are any sewers with us today in chat,
Actually,
they'll probably know about Bondaweb.
As my mum's a quilter, yeah, she knows.
Yeah.
Take it away, what's Bondaweb?
Bondaweb is, well, it's this. It doesn't look like anything, but basically, this is like sticky webbing. And when you iron it down and peel the back off, you can then stick fabric to it, and it just sticks so beautifully and so smoothly. And I was just like, this is absolutely the best way of doing this if I'm doing fabric. So you don't need it. You can definitely do it with glue. You can definitely do it another way. You can definitely paint it, whatever. But this stuff, and it does depend what fabric you're using, because it didn't work great on leather when I tried that test. But, oh, it's beautiful. So there's going to be some ironing going on as I stick this down. Although, hang on, I need to be ready with this, because this stuff, basically this stuff is best if you kind of iron it, peel, and put your next layer on and iron. So I need to be ready with my fabric, not like try and do all the Bondaweb and then move on, because I did that the other day and it was not as good. This fabric is very slippy and is a really awkward shape because it's just a scrap. So it's going to be a bit of an experiment as to how this all fits on, but it will. I've tested, promise. So that's going to go there. So this is going to be what my book cover, when it's done, is going to look like this, which is rather beautiful, isn't it?
What is that? Silk, isn't it?
This is a silk, yeah. So this is a silk I had just lurking about somewhere. Don't remember where. I think it was once a dress that I made, and then I was like, this dress is shit, but this fabric is beautiful, so I'm going to cut the fabric off.
Yeah. Are you going to iron that to make it like smooth, or are you going to keep all the rumples in it?
So I did already iron it, and actually when it goes down onto the, it's then sat in a pile for a while, because unless you could like lay out silk, it does get creases very quickly. But because I'll be ironing it onto the Bondaweb, it will probably like just smooth out naturally as that happens. And a few creases, I'm okay with that because it's a bit kind of weathered and aged. So, Bondaweb. If you're doing this on like something, if you're doing this onto like fabric that might move, like clips to clip the corners is really useful, just to kind of hold it in place so it doesn't slip when you're ironing. But something big like this, you can kind of hold it one side while you iron the other side and then move over. So yeah, I'm just going to iron it. I've got quite a hot iron setting. Also, you'll notice that I actually covered my bookboards with paper. I only did that because my tester of this, of bond webbing fabric on, meant it showed up the ridges in the cardboard. So I just put some nice handmade paper on it to kind of give that texture rather than a cardboard texture. Like Bondaweb will really, it will pick up the textures. So if you want a smoother texture, just like cover your cardboard with something. But yeah, Bondaweb is going to work great for this if you happen to have any. If not, glue.
It's quite easy to get though. Like it's quite Amazon have it, any craft shop, like because it's a really common one, like Kim said, for quilting and things. Yeah. Like so I've been making a t-shirt quilt with my mum and I used a lot of that stuff. Although obviously I'm hiatus at the moment because I'm not in this country, for sure.
It's okay. It'll be over soon, probably, hopefully. But yeah, this is Bondaweb is like, I'm so glad I found this and thought of this as an idea because so easy. Like this compared to the idea of like contact cementing it, which was my alternate option, was just like I said contact cement again. Apparently today my brain is in cement mode.
It's all in cement mode. Yeah, exactly. Carl the Drummer says, what type of glue is best for gluing fabric to cardboard?
So most glues will work. Actually, in the old days, I had a great lot of luck with Pritt Stick. It doesn't hold that securely, but it actually, holds it pretty well. Any glue will work, but the more liquid glues you're going to have to be careful with, just because they will try and kind of come through the fabric. So just use them thinly, and they will take a while to dry. So like the PVAs, the Mod Podges, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mod Podge does do a fabric-specific glue. I've never tried it, so I can't recommend it. But if anyone has, that might be worth a try. Hang on, I'm just going to peel my backing off my Bondaweb. I can't get the corner off.
That's the satisfying bit. Peeling it off.
It's when it comes off.
Hostile Eldritch says that ironing is so satisfying to watch. Do we need to
do an ironing stream? Do
we need to do an iron health and safety?
Be careful with irons, everyone.
Yeah.
So now we just take our fabric and we layer it, and I'm gonna put a towel on top of this silk, just because the silk is quite delicate and it needs a certain amount of heat for the Bondaweb to seal, and I just don't want to damage the silk at all. We can just smooth that all out. Contact.
Sorry, 39 Salty Cookies in chat points out the health and safety for irons. Metal gets hot, don't touch it.
That's pretty much it. Make sure it's sitting somewhere stable and flat. Don't put your hand on it. Don't knock it over. Don't, whatever.
Yeah. Limitless Taco says they make some fabric-specific glues, but be careful what fabrics you use it on as well. If you don't want to use Bondaweb.
Yeah. Contact adhesive will work. Fish glue, I've mentioned before, horrible stuff, but will work. Just getting rid of the bubbles here. Look at these little bubbles.
That's satisfying. That is satisfying. Right, what are you doing now? You're just doing more bond.
I'm just doing the other side,
bondage.
So the other bookboard, and in just a second we will have almost a complete, basically, book cover.
Yeah. Right, so
look at that, guys.
Quick update, how have you achieved this?
I have joined my spine and my bookboards together. I've covered it in Bondaweb, and I have covered it with silk to create a lovely book cover.
It's so floaty.
It's so floaty right now. Once things get attached to it, it'll get less floaty. So now I've turned off my health and safety. I'm going to be needing my iron again, but I've turned it off because irons are hot. And this is a very fast iron. It heats up very quickly, so I can turn it off and bring it back. Okay, so let's just talk about some technicals for a second. If I am going to do edges around my book, now because of that, I don't need to fold this over. Okay? If you're this will make more sense later, I promise. Now it's just a bit like, what are you talking about? But if you're doing, if you're just covering your book and then you want to put your pages in, then you want to trim them off and fold them over and kind of glue them. Actually, I might do that just to show. Would that be helpful to everyone if I kind of show how you would do this if you're not doing weird things like I am?
Yeah.
Yeah, nodding. Okay. So you'd want to trim this off, leaving enough for a couple of centimeters to come over the edge. So I might get my double-sided tape easily available. I might do so I can show off another technique. I'll do this with double-sided tape. That's my double-sided tape. Oh, I love having stuff on my craft table where it's all in reach. It is chaos to my right, but everything is there right now. So yeah, you want to leave a couple of centimeters, and actually the way you can do this is to tape it first and then cut it, so that you're not like messing up your cuts and things. And this will be really easy. Tape. That's too long. I was doing really well. Cut that off. So you want this to be like the size of your. That is not straight. My God, that is my terrible straight line.
A little bit wonky.
We're all about mistakes and how they're fine and you can get over them.
That's not even a mistake, really. It's just wonky. So what?
Just I'm wonky. I'm wonky.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a wonk.
I mean, that's a good theme for this stream. Not everything has to be straight. Way.
Hey! Oh, that is an excellent. If I ever write a book, the title may be "Not Everything Has to Be Straight." Oh, I like that. Yes.
Yeah.
So you just kind of pull that tight. The great thing about double-sided is that it doesn't stick too strongly too quickly. So you can just kind of realign this as you go. But you want to pull it tight over that edge. Not too tight, otherwise you'll, really, there'll be a lot of tension in it and it will struggle with that. And then just stick it down to that double-sided, and then you can trim off that excess. And because you've stuck it down first, you know exactly how much excess to take off.
That's smart.
Yeah, with your corners, I haven't got much here, so I'm going to have to kind of fudge it a little bit. But if anyone knows hotel bed corners, if anyone ever worked in that kind of industry, it's where you kind of fold over and then you kind of tuck in so you get this perfectly crisp kind of angled corner. And that's kind of...
My mum knows hospital beds.
That's probably the same.
Because she's a midwife, yeah.
That's probably the same. But yeah, the good way of doing that is just to kind of glue down and then fold in. And I'm going to have to fudge it a bit because I haven't got enough fabric. Yeah. So you want to leave yourself probably like an inch all the way around. But this is I'm using a lot of scrap. So yeah, we'll just put another layer and then we'll kind of sort out the corner later.
Yeah.
I'm lazy. Okay, this corner I can do a proper corner on to demonstrate. So you want to do you've got this fold. You want to do another fold in to create an angle, like you're wrapping out a parcel, and then you just fold over and you get a lovely corner. Look at that.
Hey.
Look how our book's looking.
So what have you done? So that's just you taping up the sides.
That is just me taping the sides inside, and I didn't need to do this because of the way I'm decorating my cover, but this will what am I trying to say? I don't know. Is it
gone?
This is a way to do it if you're not adding extra things around the edge. Do your corners neatly. Of course my corners are scruffy as hell. But this is you can just do this simply and you'll have a covered book and it'll look beautiful. So, we're now going to glue our actual notebook, inside our cover. Now we're going to Bondaweb. Well, I'm going to Bondaweb, but you could glue or whatever you've got. I'm going to Bondaweb. Oh my God, that's stuck to the double-sided tape that's exposed there. To attach my book. Do you want to know what I've just discovered, guys?
What?
The Bondaweb doesn't work with my end pages.
Oh.
Because it's too thick. These pages, my end pages are too thick. The heat is not going through to join to the Bondaweb.
Oh, cheeky. So what are we going to do?
We're going to glue gun it. Connected book page.
Hey, so you just basically jazzed a load of glue gunning.
I just glue gunned that shit in there, and I've left my ribbon out because my ribbon's going to form part of my clasp. So I've left my ribbon hanging out this edge.
And so how handily that's covered up your mistake earlier from the glue mishap.
Oh no, that's still.
That's the other side.
Yeah, that was there, but that has gone.
That has gone.
That has gone.
Hello, YouTubers. We're doing a time jump here because we've realised a mistake. Becky, why don't you explain your mistake?
Okay, so I'm wiring in my electronics to my book, and I've realised that I should have really done that before I glued on the end page so that I could, play around with the back. As I haven't, we're going back in. So I've marked where I want my electronics to come out, and I've just created this little notch here, which is where my wiring is going to go in. So now, actually, because I've glued this down already, I'm kind of going to have to go through the cardboard of the backboard and aim for that dot. So I've got a stabby stick. I'm going to aim for that dot. Watch how badly this goes.
Okay. And are we jumping back to the future? I don't know.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, not yet. So ignore the fact that the book is covered right now. You should be doing this before the book gets covered. You
should be doing this before you glue the end page in.
Right.
Like it can be covered, but before the end page goes in.
Okay.
It's just this is going to be a bit. I'm sort of retconning. So that seems like a long enough hole. Yes. Okay, so I've just slid a ruler in between my back page because I had a little gap. So I've slid a ruler in between my back page so that I can cut into the ruler and not risk going through.
Oh, nice.
So we're all about how to get over your issues on this stream.
See, it's all a journey of discovery.
It is, and proof that even people who think they know what they're doing make mistake.
So embrace them.
Because basically, if I hadn't glued my page to my backboard, I could just cut through the board completely, and then layer this over the top.
Yep. To hide the cut, yeah.
Hide the cut, yeah. But I haven't, so stuff's happening.
So this is where we are. It's
this
fine.
Is where we are. Harder than it should have been, definitely. So we're just going to coil that wire in there so there's no excess wire, because this is going to just sit here or come out a little bit. It's going to sit there, which is good. Fine. And the reason that's going to sit there is so that if I need to, I can replace the battery. That's always a fun thing to look at. Kim, we got our wire through.
Brilliant. I'm just eyeing up chat.
We're back to normal time.
Interesting.
So again, this is where it gets a bit tricky, just because you need to line this up again to the edge of the ribbons are in the way. To this edge, ignoring the spine. Do not glue into the spine, because with a Coptic bind and a hard spine, you don't want to connect to the spine. You don't want to connect to the spine kind of ever. As you can see, if you connect to the spine, your book will not open properly.
Yeah.
You need to have that bend away from the spine, which is why you have end pages and why I use thicker end pages, because they hold the structure of the book.
Can I just say, when you flip that book open, I cringed a little bit. I know that book can take it. I know that book can be opened full, but you know how you get books and you see someone just crack the spine and you're like, oh, I died. A part of my soul just left my body. Hey, look at that.
Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And look, the spine does exactly what it's meant to. It bends out so the covers can come. Yeah, sorry.
Nice. Okay, so that's what you meant right at the beginning.
That's what I meant. We have to close over the spine. But that is looking beautiful.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do edges on my, really nice crisp edges on my spellbook, as you'll see from my spellbook design. And so I did these little strips of leather from some leather that I used to make a notebook a while ago. And in order to make leather into nice crisp corners, you need to wet it and then clamp it. I clamped it with bulldog clips, clamp it inside another bit of fabric so that you don't damage the leather. And then I just kept things weighted under a book overnight. And I'm just going to glue those around the edges like this.
So this is something you need to do earlier. There's a mosquito in my room.
You'd need to press your leather earlier, but this is a decorative quirk.
Okay.
This is me doing a thing. This is not something you need to do.
So now that we've kind of covered the naked book, we're now moving on to decoration.
Decorations, making it pretty. But I mean, look at this. This is beautiful, isn't it? Like, I'm really pleased with how that's.
Yeah. No, that looks. Oof.
Oh.
Excelente. Rosewitch says, "How are the fancy electronics going to come into this?"
Yeah, I've just had the realization. Sort of left the space for the fancy electronics. I'm going to retcon them in.
Okay.
So, my fancy electronics are going to go in the middle, so I will need to... Shall we do that first? Is that
Yeah, let's do the exciting bit first. Not that none of this is exciting, but...
Wow. So, this is just over 30. So, if you haven't got a ruler that's as long as your piece, this is a nice little trick. And you're trying to find the middle, so I would be like, my ruler is 30 centimeters long, and so I'm looking at 15. Just make sure the ends are equidistant from the end, and you'll still get the middle. Does that make sense to everyone? Did I just say
yes.
Something? Yes. So this is, I'm just creating a little notch here, which is where my clasp is going to go, and will be where part of things lead in for my electronics. I so should have done this before I glued things down.
Oh dear.
I'm not. Okay.
Are we going to have to do a time jump? We need to do a time jump for the YouTube video, don't we?
Please do this before you try and do something else.
No, hold on a minute. We're going to have to do this. So you know when we did the TARDIS video and we time jumped? So we're going to have to do this. Okay, so this is the time jump, Skip. Okay.
I can't test the electronics before you glue. Yeah, I'm only going to glue that light, but... Oh, fuck, it's not working now. Wow. Oh.
Get your rips out and chat. Get your rips out for the lads. Get your rips out for the lads rip.
Why light? Oh, God, have I damaged it going through that or something? What?
So, today we have covered the book. We've glued the pages into the book.
We've made it into an actual book.
Yeah, we've created a cover. So we've created a book. So next week, we're going to look at embellishments like electronics and fancy corners. And I don't know, can we put eyes in it?
You can do whatever you like to decorate your book. I'm going to have this nice little crystal mount here that will light up. It will light up.
Yeah, it will light up.
It will.
Yeah.
I've also done mine's going to have a kind of compass point on it.
Oh.
So I've done these little foam... Oh, that's the wrong way around. Done these little foam compass points, which I'll take you through in full detail next week.
Okay.
So that's going to have that. I really want to, but I'm not sure it's working. So if you'll see on my design, there were clouds. And I'm trying to create this kind of Japanese-style clouds that are covered with this cool kind of mottled fabric, but I'm not sure how effective they're going to be, but I want to have a whole ring of those around.
Okay.
Which I think would be really nice. Other things. I've also folded leather to create an edge, just to tidy it up and look really nice. And if you think about that with the corners over, I'll put the corners on screen.
So this is the perfect opportunity if you want to use leather edging in your book to go, what was it, wet it down, clamp it, and get it ready that way.
Fold it. Yeah, this is also the perfect time to design your book or design what you want to do with your embellishments so that you can ask me questions next time about embellishment things. So if you have embellishing questions.
Yeah. So what kind of materials should people be getting for next week?
Go raid the house. We've talked about this before. We're trying to make these streams, lockdown friendly, and although lockdown is lifting, a lot of people are still, staying inside. Yeah. And a lot of companies are still struggling with their deliveries and things. Yeah. So just I've used foam because I have foam. And I've got loads of fabric. You could use card. You could make all, corners and embellishments and things out of card. and create nice things that way.
Glass,
Beads,
crystal,
crystals, fabric, paper,
stones.
Yeah, stones. Yeah, definitely.
Cat hair.
Sure. Sure, whatever you've got. I've also, you love a bit of strapping around a book, so I'm going to have strapping.
Okay. So Becky actually drew what she wanted her book to look like.
It's not far off so far.
I think it is. Yeah. I think you're pretty much there. So this is a good way to plan for next week as well, is have a play around, draw out what you want your book to look like, and then see what you've got around the house to achieve that. So this is something you can do as homework for next week. But yeah.
If you bought drawing pins to make dragon eggs, because I know some people did, drawing pins are great for easily looking like, rivets. They look like, so I can hammer that in there and it'll look like a really nice, I'll just poke it through the leather quickly. There is a strap that's been riveted on, even though I literally just have to stab a pin. Pins are great for doing stuff like that, or you could put them on your metal bits so they look like they've kind of been nailed in or screwed in properly. Pins are a really good, they're a useful tool to keep around. Another way of doing it, because I know somebody, I can't remember who's been using googly eyes in their dragon making, but this is a props tip that someone taught me, that I learned on a YouTube somewhere. Googly eyes, if they're painted silver, look exactly like rivets. So if you've got googly eyes, googly eyes. Or, someone else who sent us a dragon this week that's been using split lentils for scales.
Yes.
Like, lentils could be used to create rivets, like anything. Like, so seriously, this is a go raid your house.
Yeah.
Find stuff, see what you can make. This is definitely a kind of, what have you got in your house, and we'll make it into something cool. Craft.
Awesome. So go and get ready, and then we'll see you guys next week or in the next tutorial video for embellishments.